The massive Kizoran vessel, Stellar Awakener, hung in low Earth orbit like an obsidian thundercloud. Its sleek, biomechanical form stretched over 20 kilometers from bow to stern, dwarfing the frozen planet below. Captain Jisa stood at the command center, her four eyes blinking in asynchronous patterns as she absorbed the flood of data streaming through her neural interface. Final atmospheric composition analysis complete, Captain, First Officer Venxa reported, his tentacles rippling with anticipation. The terraforming process can begin on your command. Jisha's exoskeleton shimmered with hues of deep blue and violet, colors of solemnity and remembrance in Kezoran culture. Initiate the Thaw sequence, Vensa. Let us hope this world proves more suitable than the last dozen. As the words left her mouthparts, a surge of energy pulsed from the Stellar Awakener. Beams of coherent light, more powerful than 1,000 suns, lanced down to pierce Earth's ice-encrusted surface. Clouds of superheated steam erupted into the thin atmosphere as millennia of ice began to melt. Curious, muttered Science Officer Kralja, his eye stalks swiveling to focus on a holographic display. These readings, they suggest this planet once supported advanced life forms. Jija chittered in surprise. Impossible. Our long-range scans showed no signs of civilization. This world has been locked in ice for over 100,000 cycles. Nevertheless, Kralza insisted, there are trace elements and isotopes present that could only have been produced through industrial processes. Whatever life existed here, it was certainly intelligent. A wave of melancholy washed over the command crew. They had seen this before, worlds frozen in time, the remnants of civilizations snuffed out by cosmic calamity or their own folly. It was why the Kisaran Stellar Nursery Project existed. To seek out and restore worlds capable of supporting new life, new hope for a galaxy that seemed to grow colder with each passing millennium. As the thaw continued over the next several Earth days, features began to emerge from beneath the receding ice sheets. The ruins of cities, preserved like insects in amber, appeared in coastal regions. Great structures of metal and stone, their purpose lost to time, jutted from thawing tundras. By the cosmic egg, Venza exclaimed, look at the scale of these ruins. This wasn't just an advanced civilization, it spanned the entire planet. Jiza felt a pang of regret. Had they known intelligent life once thrived here, they might have chosen a different world for restoration. But it was too late now. The thaw had progressed beyond the point of no return. What a tragedy, she murmured. To think, an entire species, perhaps as advanced as our own, lost to the cruel whims of stellar evolution. Their son must have... Her lament was cut short by a piercing alarm. Kralza's exoskeleton flushed a bright orange, the Kizaran equivalent of turning pale with shock. Captain, he stammered, you need to see this. Now. The main view screen flickered to life, showing a magnified image of a thawing mountain range. There, carved into the face of a cliff, and only now emerging from its icy shroud, was an unmistakable message. Crude by Kaizoran standards, but undeniably intentional, the giant letters spelled out, if you are reading this, we endured. Humanity lives, find us below. For a moment, absolute silence reigned on the command deck. Then, as one, the Kizoran crew erupted into a frenzy of activity. Scans were recalibrated, probes were launched, and heated debates broke out across every communication channel. Jisa raised her primary appendages, calling for quiet. When the chaos subsided, she turned to her science officer. Kralza, I want every scanner we have focused on finding signs of active life. Vensa, prepare a surface expedition. We need to know what we're dealing with. As her crew scrambled to obey, Jisa gazed down at the thawing planet with a mixture of awe and trepidation. In all their centuries of restoring frozen worlds, they had never encountered anything like this. A species that had found a way to survive an ice age that should have wiped them out entirely. It defied belief. Little did Jisa know that this discovery was merely the first step in a journey that would challenge everything the Kizoran thought they knew about life, survival, and the very nature of intelligence itself. Deep beneath the thawing surface of Earth, in vast underground complexes that stretched from the ruins of old New York to the sunken remnants of Tokyo, the last scions of humanity stirred. Cryogenic pods began their awakening sequences, computer systems long dormant hummed to life, and for the first time in 100,000 years, human eyes opened to gaze upon a world reborn. The great thaw had begun, but for humanity and the Kisaran alike, the true awakening was yet to come. Elara Chen's eyes fluttered open, her mind struggling to shake off the lingering tendrils of cryosleep. The soft blue glow of her stasis pod provided the only illumination in the cavernous chamber. As her vision cleared, she found herself staring at a scene straight out of humanity's darkest nightmares and its most audacious dreams. Rows upon rows of cryopods stretched into the darkness, each containing a carefully selected representative of the human race. Scientists, engineers, artists, and leaders from every corner of the globe, all chosen for the skills and knowledge they could bring to humanity's resurrection. With trembling fingers, Elara disengaged the pod's safety protocols. A hiss of escaping gases filled the air as the transparent cover slid away. She took her first breath of air in 100,000 years, marveling at how fresh it seemed despite the millennia that had passed. Initial awakening sequence complete, a calm synthetic voice announced. "Welcome back, Doctor. Chen. Current date is approximately 102,457 years since project initiation. External sensors detect significant atmospheric changes, initiating full facility startup." As if on cue, banks of lights flickered to life, illuminating the vast underground complex. Ilara's pod had been one of the first scheduled for revival, part of the advanced team tasked with assessing the post-thaw situation before waking the rest of the sleepers. She stumbled out of the pod on unsteady legs, her muscles weak from their long dormancy, despite the pod's preservation techniques. A nearby console sprang to life at her approach, and Ilara's scientific curiosity overrode her physical discomfort. "Computer," she croaked, her voice hoarse from disuse, "give me a status report on surface conditions." The display filled with a torrent of data: atmospheric composition, temperature readings, radiation levels. Ilara's eyes widened as she absorbed the information. This isn't right," she muttered. "The thaw is happening far too quickly. It's as if—" Her thoughts were interrupted by a commotion from the other side of the chamber. More pods were opening, disgorging their occupants into the brave new world they had gambled everything to see. Dr. Malik Brahimi, the project's lead climatologist, stumbled towards her. "Ilara, is that you? What's happening?" The awakening wasn't scheduled for another— His voice trailed off as he caught sight of the console's readouts. "Impossible," he breathed. "These energy readings— This isn't a natural thaw. Something, or someone, is actively melting the ice sheets." Before Ilara could respond, alarms began blaring throughout the facility. Red warning lights bathed the chamber in an eerie glow as the AI's voice returned, this time with an edge of urgency. "Alert! Unknown objects detected entering Earth's atmosphere. Size and composition inconsistent with natural phenomena. Probability of extraterrestrial origin: 99.97%. For a moment, Ilara and Malik stood frozen, the weight of this revelation threatening to overwhelm them. They had prepared for countless scenarios during their pre-stasis training, but first contact with an alien species mere hours after awakening. It was beyond anything they had imagined. Ilara was the first to shake off her stupor. "We need to wake the others, now." Her voice carried the steel of a born leader, which was fitting given that she had been chosen as the interim head of the revival project. As if in response to her words, the facility sprung into a frenzy of activity. More pods began their awakening sequences, and those already revived scrambled to their assigned stations. In the communications hub, technicians worked feverishly to establish contact with other underground complexes scattered across the globe. Amidst the chaos, Dr. Yuki Tanaka, the team's xenobiologist, approached Ilara with a tablet in hand. "You need to see this," she said, her face pale. "Our long-range cameras caught images of the alien ship. Well, see for yourself." Ilara took the tablet, her breath catching in her throat as she saw the Kizoran vessel in all its otherworldly glory. It was beautiful, terrifying, and utterly beyond anything humans had achieved, even at the height of their technological prowess. "They're not just visiting," Malik said, peering over her shoulder. "Look at those energy emissions. They're the ones responsible for the rapid thaw." Ilara's mind raced, weighing their options. The revival plan had always included the possibility of eventually re-establishing contact with any surviving human enclaves on the surface. But this changed everything. "We need to make contact," she decided, her voice steady despite the tumult of emotions roiling within her. "But carefully. We don't know their intentions, and we're in no position to defend ourselves if they prove hostile." As the revival team debated their next move, none of them noticed the small, spider-like drone that had detached itself from the alien ship high above. It streaked through the atmosphere, its advanced sensors homing in on the energy signatures emanating from the hidden human facility. The Kizoran were about to discover that their terraforming project had awakened far more than a long-dead world. Two species, separated by vast gulfs of space and time, were on a collision course that would reshape the destiny of both. In the depths of the underground complex, as humanity took its first tentative steps towards an unimaginable future, Ilara Chen felt a shiver run down her spine. Whether it was from fear or excitement, she couldn't say, but one thing was certain: nothing would ever be the same again. The Great Thaw had brought not just the rebirth of a planet, but the dawn of a new era for two civilizations about to collide in ways neither could have foreseen. Captain Jisha's exoskeleton rippled with a kaleidoscope of colors as she processed the flood of information from the surface probes. Every new piece of data seemed to defy the laws of probability, painting a picture so extraordinary that her rational mind struggled to accept it. "Confirmed life signs in multiple locations," Kralsar reported, his voice trembling with a mixture of excitement and disbelief. "Concentrated primarily in vast underground structures. The technology, Captain, it's incredible. Some of it rivals our own, despite being millennia old." Venser, who had been coordinating the surface expedition, interjected. "The message we found wasn't just a monument, Jicha. It's an invitation. They knew someone would come. They've been waiting for us." The implications were staggering. A species that had not only survived an extinction-level event, but had planned for their eventual resurrection on a scale spanning tens of thousands of years. It went against everything the Kizoran thought they knew about the resilience of intelligent life. Jisa made a decision. "Prepare a first contact team. I will lead it myself." Her officers chittered in alarm. It was highly unusual for a ship's captain to join a potentially dangerous away mission. But Jisa silenced their protests with a gesture. "This is too important to delegate," she said firmly. "Whatever happens next will shape the future of both our species. I must see it with my own eyes." As the Kizoran prepared for their descent, activity in the human underground complex reached a fever pitch. Dr. Ilara Chen stood in the newly activated command center, surrounded by holographic displays showing the alien ship and the approaching landing craft. "All sections report ready for potential first contact," Malik announced, his voice tense. "Security teams are on standby, but weapons are cold as per your orders." Ilara nodded, her heart pounding. The decision to approach this peacefully had been controversial, but she remained convinced it was the right call. Humanity had been given a second chance. She wouldn't squander it by starting an interstellar war. "Dr. Chen," Yuki called out, her eyes fixed on a particular screen. "You need to see this. The alien craft, it's heading directly for Entrance Alpha." Ilara's breath caught in her throat. Entrance Alpha was the primary access point to their facility, concealed beneath what had once been Mount Rushmore. The fact that the aliens had homed in on it so quickly spoke volumes about their technological capabilities. "They know exactly where we are," she murmured. Then, squaring her shoulders, she made a decision that would alter the course of human history. "Open the outer doors. Let's give our guests a proper welcome." Miles above, the Kizoran landing craft pierced the clouds, its sensors locked onto the massive stone faces emerging from the receding ice. As they drew closer, a section of the mountain itself seemed to shift and slide away, revealing a cavernous opening. "By the cosmic egg," Venksa breathed, "they're inviting us in." Jisa felt a surge of admiration for these unknown beings. To display such trust, such openness, in the face of contact with an alien species. It spoke of either great wisdom or profound desperation. Perhaps both. The landing craft eased into the massive hangar, settling onto the gleaming floor with barely a sound. As the engines powered down, Zisha turned to her team. "Remember," she said solemnly, "we represent not just our ship, but our entire species. Whatever happens next will echo through history. Let us meet it with courage and compassion." The craft's doors slid open and the Kaizoran emerged into the hangar. Their insectoid forms, standing nearly 3 meters tall, presented an imposing sight. Yet they moved with a grace that belied their alien appearance, each step careful and measured. At the far end of the hangar, another set of doors parted. A group of humans stepped forward, led by a woman whose bearing marked her as their leader. Dr. Elara Chen's heart raced as she took in the sight of the alien beings, her scientific mind cataloguing details even as her human heart marveled at the sheer wonder of the moment. For a long moment, the two groups simply stared at each other, separated by mere meters and over 100,000 years of divergent evolution. The silence stretched, pregnant with possibility and fraught with the potential for misunderstanding. Then, slowly, deliberately, Captain Jiza raised her primary appendages in a gesture of peace. Her translator, calibrated based on the language samples gleaned from human transmissions, produced a halting but understandable message. "We come in peace, children of Earth. We are the Kizoran, and we have awakened your world from its long slumber." Ilara stepped forward, her voice steady despite the emotion threatening to overwhelm her. "We welcome you, Kaizoran, to what remains of human civilization. I am Dr. Ilara Chen, appointed leader of the Earth Revival Project." She paused, weighing her next words carefully. "We have slept for over 100,000 years, preserving the best of our knowledge and culture in the hope that one day our world would be habitable again. We never dreamed that our salvation would come from the stars.